The last thing Susan remembered was the grizzly bear cub's terrified eyes and the mother's roar splitting the Montana wilderness. She had thrown herself between them and the poacher's guns, her body acting before her mind could protest. The crack of rifle fire, the pain, then nothing. Now she was waking up, which made absolutely no sense. Susan's eyes snapped open to a ceiling that glowed with bioluminescent patterns. Not her tent, not a hospital. Her hand moved to her chest where the bullet should have torn through. Smooth skin, no wound. She sat up fast, her head spinning with questions that had no logical answers. The room around her was organic, like being inside a living creature. Walls pulsed gently with amber light, and the air smelled of ozone and something sweet she couldn't identify. Through a transparent section of wall, she could see stars. Wrong constellations, too many colors. Moving too fast, you're awake. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, speaking perfect English with an accent that sounded like wind chimes. Unexpected, but not unwelcome. A figure materialized from the wall itself, 7 feet tall, humanoid but decidedly not human. Its skin was translucent silver, revealing networks of light beneath. 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern regarded her with what might have been curiosity. What the hell? Susan scrambled backward, her heart hammering. You died protecting young. This was significant. The being tilted its head. I am designated Observer Keltheron. Your species calls this concept first contact, though circumstances are regrettable. Your planet is approximately 14 light-years distant. You have been deceased for what you would measure as 8 hours. We restored you. Restored. Susan's laugh came out sharp, edged with hysteria. You mean I'm actually dead? This is death? Was dead. Now living. Your neural patterns and genetic code were preserved and reconstructed. You are functionally identical to your previous state, minus the thoracic cavity damage. Keltheron made a gesture that might have been reassurance. Consider it resurrection. Before Susan could process this impossibility, alarms shrieked through the ship. The walls flashed crimson. They've found us, Keltheron said, and for the first time the alien's voice carried emotion. Fear. The Kresh Dominion. They've been hunting my people for 3 cycles. We've been running with critical cargo. The alien moved to a panel that bloomed open at its touch. I should not have stopped to investigate your world. Curiosity is a luxury we cannot afford. Wait, what cargo? Susan demanded, standing on legs that felt both familiar and strange. Why did you bring me here? Keltheron turned those 4 eyes on her, and Susan saw something she recognized. The same desperate determination she'd seen in the mother bear's face before. She'd stepped in front of the gun. Because you demonstrated the capacity my species has nearly lost. Self-sacrifice for the young. The Dominion destroyed our homeworld because we refused to surrender the progenitor seeds, genetic archives of every species we've encountered across 200,000 worlds. The Kresh would use them to build bioweapons. We would rather die, the ship shuddered. Through the transparent wall, Susan saw vessels emerging from tiers in space itself. Angular, predatory shapes that made her think of sharks made from knives and hatred. 73 of my people remain, Keltheron continued, its fingers dancing over controls. Most are young. We cannot outrun them much longer. Our weapons are depleted. I revived you because the alien paused. Because I wondered if a species that would die for others might have tactical insights we've overlooked. Your kind are predators, yes? You understand hunting, Susan's mind raced. She was a wilderness guide and wildlife researcher, not a soldier. But she'd spent 20 years studying predator behavior, how they thought, how they strategized, how they survived. Show me what you're working with, she said. The next 10 minutes were a crash course in impossible technology. Keltheron's people, the Valaxi, were explorers and archivists, not warriors. Their ship was fast but lightly armed. The Kresh Dominion had 30 vessels in pursuit, heavy cruisers with weapons that could crack planets. You've been running in straight lines, Susan observed, studying the holographic display. That's prey behavior. Predators don't run straight. They double back, they use terrain, they make their pursuers overextend. We're in open space, Keltheron said. There is no terrain. Yes, there is. Susan pointed to a stellar anomaly on the display, a region of intense gravitational shear between binary stars. That can your ship handle it? Possibly. The Kresh vessels are larger, less maneuverable. Then they'll have to slow down or risk getting torn apart. How fast can you go through? Keltheron's skin flickered with patterns Susan was learning to read as emotions, hope mixed with terror. Fast enough. But we'd need to time it perfectly. If we're off by seconds, then we loop back after passing through and hit their command ship while they're scattered trying to follow. You said your weapons are depleted, not gone. One shot, their leadership vessel. Without coordination, the rest might break off. That's... Keltheron's voice carried something like amazement. That's Predator thinking. Risk for reward. It could work. It did work, but barely. The Valaxi ship screamed through the gravitational shear like a bullet through a tornado. Susan felt her restored body trying to tear itself apart, as forces beyond human tolerance crushed and stretched. Several Kresh vessels tried to follow and came apart like paper in a hurricane. The others scattered, trying to navigate safely. And there, as Keltheron brought the ship around in a maneuver that defied physics Susan understood, was the Kresh command carrier, isolated, vulnerable, firing, Keltheron said, and released every remaining weapon the Valaxi possessed. The carrier's shields blazed, flickered, and failed. The ship broke in half, atmosphere venting in crystalline clouds. The remaining Kresh vessels jumped away, their formation shattered, their command structure decapitated. Silence filled the ship. Susan realized she was shaking. You saved 73 lives today, Keltheron said softly, and 200,000 species genetic legacies, a rather extreme escalation from saving one bear cub. Susan laughed, the sound cracking with relief and residual terror. Can you get me home? Eventually. But Susan of Earth, Keltheron turned its 4 eyes on her. Your species is very young. In perhaps 200 of your years, you'll reach the stars yourselves. When you do, you'll find a galaxy at war. The Kresh dominion grows. The peaceful species are dying out or fleeing. And you want humanity to be ready, Susan said, understanding. I want humanity to be what it already is. Survivors who protect the vulnerable. Predators who choose when to hunt. The galaxy needs humans, Susan. It needs that specific madness that makes you die for bear cubs and devise tactics in minutes that military minds couldn't create in years. Susan looked out at the alien stars, at the wreckage of ships that had been trying to destroy knowledge itself, at the impossible situation she'd somehow survived. I'll need to talk to some people back home, she said. Governments, scientists, maybe the military. We can arrange that, Keltheron said. But first, would you like to meet the young Valaxi? They've been asking about the human who thinks like a hunter, but acts like a guardian. They find it fascinating, Susan smiled. Yeah, I'd like that. She'd died protecting a predator cub. She'd woken up to war, and somehow, impossibly, she'd found exactly where she was meant to be, standing between danger and those who couldn't protect themselves, even if those who needed protecting were from another world entirely. Humanity, it turned out, was exactly as crazy as the galaxy needed.